Hey, cheers, everybody. Welcome back to Good Bets, Good Times. This is the football betting show for all of my recreational degens and weekend warriors who, want to win a little bit more, lose a little bit less, and then, of course, have a good damn time doing it. I am Nate Tuttle of NT Sports, and this week, we're talking some college football. If you missed the show last week, check out the podcast. We kicked off season 2 with a look at the NFL offseason and how the draft and offseason movement, free agent movement, has impacted the NFL futures market. And now this week, let's do the same thing with college football. So without further ado, go ahead and grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's talk some ball, shall we?
I love guys who like football. And guys who like football, they like me back, and I like them back.
First off, what's been in the news lately in terms of college football has been, in the big headline, is the discussion around the 24-team playoff expansion. I have some thoughts. First thing, whether you're for or against expanding the college football playoff, can we complain about more meaningful football in December and January? I will not. That's more meaningful games to bet on. And don't get me wrong, I love bowl season. I do really well in bowl season. But we're replacing some of those games, which are pseudo exhibitions, and putting those teams in a tournament. And really, I don't know. I don't want to say curmudgeon, old man. But at first, even when they went to 12 teams, I'm like, oh, man. Expanding college football. It's just not what college football is. It's a regular season sport. A couple teams play for a championship, and that's it. You enjoy bowl season. But man, this 12-team playoff stuff has really given me the itch to want to be on the side of more teams, more football. But yes, to me, this gives more teams a chance to play in this tournament. People say, well, it's going to devalue the regular season. Well, for some, it might. And don't get me wrong, I'm an Ohio State fan. So does moving to 24 benefit us at all? I don't know. It's not recently. I mean, we're going to be a lock for the 12 teams most years. There's a lot of teams out there whose seasons end in October, November. There's nothing to play for towards the end of the season. But you expand, you get this first round of playoff games. You shorten the window between when these teams are actually playing. Teams who get a bye aren't going to get 3-4 weeks in between their games, right? And why not? These teams are going to play football anyways. They're going to play in bowl games, New Year's Day bowl games. So why not let them play for their chance to play for a championship? Let's make it happen. Regardless, it's irrelevant for this year. So let's dive into 2026. Looking at first the teams who are the front runners, according to the betting market, to win the 2026 national championship, and how these lines have moved over the past few months since opening lines dropped in January, end of January, right after the national championship game, and going all the way through spring games until today, at the time of this recording, on May 12th. Starting us off with my Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm going to read off the consensus lines here and look at some outliers as they pop up. But first, Ohio State consensus plus 636 to win the national championship. As low as 550, as high as 650. Second is Notre Dame, plus 700. Texas, plus 724, as high as plus 800 over at FanDuel. Plus 650 is the lowest at Caesars. Indiana, plus 750. And then Oregon, plus 800. And then outside that top 10, we'll just go top 10. Why not? Georgia, looking at anywhere from plus 850 to plus 1,000. Miami sitting there, plus 1,100 to plus 1,600. Pretty big gap there in those odds. LSU, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Alabama. Let's start with Ohio State because they're the front runners right now. And not too much movement I mean, from where they opened at plus 600, they have drifted back at a few books up to plus 650. Like I said, at FanDuel, they're at plus 550. But looking at this team, a couple of reasons why. One, they are the favorites, which is surprising. I mean, well, I guess not surprising. First off, a couple of things I look at when I'm assessing these teams going into the season, just looking at futures overall, and especially when I'm looking at national championship futures, to make the playoff futures, and to win the conference futures. One, first and foremost, quarterback. Two, coaching continuity, head coach and coordinators. Three, trench play. So look at that offensive line, look at that defensive line. Can the offensive line protect the quarterback? Can the defensive line disrupt the opposing offenses, make their quarterbacks uncomfortable? Those are the three things I'm looking at right here. Ohio State, they lost a lot to the draft. We know that. They did bring in some portal additions as well, especially on the defensive side of the ball. My only concern with Ohio State, as an Ohio State fan, a couple things. First being another new offensive coordinator. Arthur Smith comes in from the NFL. It worked out on the defensive side with Matt Patricia. Can Arthur Smith do the same thing? Can he come in with an NFL mind and adapt his offensive style in the college game? Not too worried about this because of Ryan Day. This is his team. This is, at the end of the day, this is his offense. But having a third different offensive coordinator in the past 3 seasons could be meaningful, especially when there's a quarterback like Julian Sayin, who is still developing, still young. It's his second year as a starter. And to be honest, this championship run is going to live and die by Julian Sayin. Can he take that next step? We saw it last year in the playoff and in the Big Ten championship game against Indiana. And some of this is due to the offensive line. The Indiana and the Miami defensive lines really stuck it to that Ohio State offensive line and was really making Julian Sayin uncomfortable. But to that point, can Julian Sayin take that next step and become the type of quarterback that can lead a team like Ohio State through the gauntlet of a 12-team playoff and through this brutal schedule that they play this year? I don't know. Questions still out. I mean, look at the past few national championship teams. They've got dogs at quarterback. Man, we saw Mendoza last year. He was the heart and soul of that team. Year before that, Will Howard, same thing. Not flustered, just leadership, making plays when plays need to be made, using their legs, getting outside of the pocket, running, taking hits when they need to. Year before that, J.J. McCarthy, and so on. So this team comes down to Julian Sayin. I see why they're the favorite. They're Ohio State. They deservingly should be the favorite, given how they reload every year, who they have coming back, best player in college football in Jeremiah Smith, returning quarterback, returning head coach. But can Sayin take that next step? We will see. Next up, Notre Dame. So Notre Dame's getting some love. Opened at plus 700. They're down to plus 600 at some spots. So it hasn't moved a ton. But same thing here. They got a returning starting quarterback, returning head coach, returning OC. That continuity is huge. Quarterback and OC back in year 2. And this is a team that has a chip on their shoulder. They got shafted, didn't get into the playoff. They were a good team, had 2 early losses, probably should have been in the playoff. And to me, this is the Notre Dame revenge tour. This is a team I do like, not only to make a playoff, just given their schedule and the path that they have to get there, which is much easier than last year. They still have Miami, but they have Miami at home. So Notre Dame's going to be a team that's going to be around. They're basically a lock to make the playoff at this point after what happened last year. It does hurt losing both of their running backs, first-round draft picks. We know Marcus Freeman can coach up this defense. And once again, comes down, is CJ Carr that guy? Is he the dog? Can he lead this team in his second year as a starter? Coming off a, 10-win freshman season, 2 very close losses. So we'll see. So Notre Dame getting some love. I agree with that. Up next, Indiana. Obviously, the champs are getting some love. Open at plus 800 down to plus 725 in some spots, plus 750. And let's be honest, they can't do it again, right? They can't. Signetti can't hit on another transfer quarterback. They brought in Josh Hoover, TCU transfer, gave him $2 million for 3,400 yards at TCU last year, 29 TDs. Is he as good as Mendoza? Is he going to be a future first-round draft pick? No, doubtful. They went 16-0 last year. Can they run the gauntlet again? And I don't even think they'll need to go 16-0 again. Just win 10 games, get into the playoff, and see what happens. They lost a few receivers, but, I mean, a lot of this core is back. Signetti knows how to play the portal, but I'm out on Indiana. This is a team that defied all odds. They were 100-1 going into last season to win the national championship. They go 16-0. Fernando Mendoza was the guy. We saw it in the playoff. It was the heart and soul of that team. Can Josh Hoover take that spot? Doubtful. And that's what it's going to come down to. Indiana's going to be a team that, as long as Curt Cignetti is leading this team, they're going to be back year after year. So get used to Indiana being there. He's going to keep reloading at quarterback. He's going to bring in his guys who know how to play football, know how to play team football, winning football. But can they repeat? In my opinion, definitely not worth a bet at plus 750, plus 800 at some books. Next up, Texas. So Texas has been fairly kind of stagnant, but they opened at plus 700. They've dropped a little bit. Seeing some plus 800s out there, plus 750s, and a plus 650. So quite a bit of variance and disagreement across the books. But once again, Texas is a team that checks all the boxes. Sarkisian's back. Missed the playoffs last year. Did go 10-3. Couple bad losses. OCDC back. They went to the portal. Brought in Cam Coleman, top wide receiver in the portal. Couple running backs. Hollywood Smothers from NC State. Raleek Brown from Arizona State. And the biggest thing is that they went out and they loaded up on offensive line. They need to protect Arch. They need to give him a shot. And same thing as the other contenders. Question marks up and down the board at quarterback. Can Arch Manning take that next step? He is coming off. He had a minor foot surgery back in January. Expected to be fully recovered, obviously, by camp. Played very well down the stretch. We saw what he did in the bowl game. Once again, is one of the Heisman favorites going into the season. Still have my reservations. And plus 750, plus 800. Not putting my money on Arch Manning in this Texas team to make a run. I got to see it. I may change my mind after the first 2 weeks. They go in. They got Ohio State, primetime, week 2. Schedule times are starting to come out now. 7:30 on the 12th of September in Texas at home. Game that they should, if they want to be a legit contender. I said the same thing last year when they played Ohio State. When Texas was the number 1 team in the country going into the season. And they were the number 1 favorite to win the national championship. And I said they got to go in and prove it. They didn't do it last year. I'm in the same boat. I'll buy in if Texas beats Ohio State week 2 at home. Arch builds off the momentum that he had end of last year. That offensive line's improved. He's got the weapons. I'll be in on Texas. But right now, numbers a little too high for me. Next up, Oregon. So this is an interesting team. Check most of the boxes. It's another team. It's probably, I mean, we say this every year, but is this the most talented team Dan Lanning's had at Oregon? Probably. Keeps reloading, and they keep getting blown out in the playoffs. They did lose both coordinators, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. They do get Dante Moore back. And they have a nice insurance policy sitting behind Dante Moore and bringing in Dylan Raiola as well, out from Nebraska. Hit the portal again, had the number 2 recruiting class last year. Lost some folks in the draft. And it's really hard for me to find holes in this Oregon Ducks team, except for the fact that they're Oregon. And what they've done the past 2 years, I mean, you have to have reservations about this team going into a playoff. Even with a veteran QB like Dante Moore, potentially, number 1, number 2, at least top 3 draft pick next year, depending on how Arch Manning does. So I want to be in on Oregon. But once again, I mean, you can get them up to I'm seeing a plus 850 out there. They've faded a little bit. Opened at plus 700, and they've faded back at some books. Plus 800, plus 850. Sitting at the fifth favorite to win the championship. So keep in mind, too, this is our second episode of the summer. We're going to be diving into all these conferences and all these teams. We're going to be diving into the futures bets we're actually making throughout the summer. And we're going to break down these teams in a lot more detail. So I can already tell you right now, Oregon is going to be a team I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be investigating a little bit further. And I may have something on Oregon depending on what price I can get here. Who we got next? Outside of the top 5, I think Georgia is other team I'm going to investigate very heavily. Kirby Smart, obviously. Coordinators are back. Gunnar Stockton back. Second full season as the starter here. Lost some of the portal, made some portal additions. Obviously, they had a handful of draft picks. And we know they play in the SEC, but this schedule, I mean, they go at Alabama, got Oklahoma at home, Florida and Atlanta. We go to Ole Miss in November. But outside of that, I mean, non-con solid. Georgia Tech, obviously a rivalry game. Tennessee State and Western Kentucky. Yeah, I mean, this is, once again, Georgia as well. Another 10-win team. And, how does this team not get in the playoffs? But once again, Gunnar Stockton. I mean, another team that has a veteran quarterback coming back this year. Hasn't been able to get it done in the playoff. They got taken out by Ole Miss. Ole Miss, their SEC rival last year. So, yeah, I mean, they've been pretty stagnant. The market's been neutral. They haven't really moved. I mean, you can get them at plus 1,000. I'm going to look into that a little bit more in this Georgia team as we get into the SEC previews. But can Gunnar Stockton be that guy? Can he be that Mendoza? Can he be that Will Howard, that dog in December and January that can lead this Bulldogs team back to a national championship? It's worth a look. And of course, a team that the market's been hot on, and really, I think a lot of this movement came right after Darian Mensah he got through his lawsuit, whatever that was, transferring from Duke. These odds came out January 20th. I think he was officially headed to Miami end of January, and obviously they got once that happened, there was a big spike in their odds, opened at plus 2,000, and I mean, they're still sitting at plus 1,600 at some spots, but all the way down to plus 1,100 as well. So big discrepancy here in odds on Miami across books. But another team that lost a lot to the draft, Darian Mensah, really good cornerback. He's been really good led Duke to the ACC championship last year. They got Malachi Tony coming back, Mark Fletcher, their defensive line outside of their edge rushers, which could be interesting. There's no Bain, there's no Mesidor. So Miami, I want to be in on Miami, but this is Miami. You never know what's going to happen to this team in the regular season. They got to go to Notre Dame. That could be a make or break game for them. Start the season off, they have to go to Stanford on a Friday night. They'll probably be double-digit favorites there, but it's a tough place to play. We'll be eyeing that up. Might be a Stanford bet. But these random games, I mean, even at something random like at Wake Forest, at North Carolina, these games that you expect them to Virginia Tech late in the year, with James Franklin coming in, revamping this team. At Clemson, definitely a team that the market's down on. I'll get into that in a second. Florida State, Pitt. Yeah, it's hard to put your money on this Miami team. I know what they did in the playoff last year. Had a nice little run, but they were the last team in the playoff. They just snuck in. They didn't even make it to the ACC championship game. Got a little lucky there. They did have that win over Notre Dame, which kind of sealed the deal for them. But it's hard to put your money behind Miami, a team that could have some slip-ups. They historically do. They're always going to lose a game or two that they shouldn't lose. So you have to question, are they even going to be a playoff team? I think so. I think Darian Mensah is a great ad for them at quarterback. He's got to clean up his game a little bit. I feel like he turns over the ball a little too much. Got a $4 million nil deal to bring him in out of Duke. Man, outside of that, a lot of long shots. A lot of teams like Alabama that's really dropped off. I mean, they've faded from plus 1,500 up to well over plus 2,000. I think the Bama tax, the Bama reputation we've seen over the years is kind of fading a little bit. We'll see what happens at quarterback between Austin Mack and Keelan Russell. This is DeBoer's third season. We'll see if it could be his last too. If they don't make a run, they don't make an improvement. LSU, these odds are too high. I like Lane Kiffin as a coach. He did bring Charlie Weiss as well. Brought in Sam Levitt, who's recovering from Liz Frank surgery. That's a tough injury to come back from as a quarterback. Did have the number one portal class. He's going to have a lot to work with, but to trust his team in Lane Kiffin in year one to completely turn this around and make them a legitimate championship contender, it's a tall task. So, and the market agrees. This number hasn't moved. It's been plus 1,500. I mean, there's some 1,600s out there, even plus 1,000 at one book. Outside of that, so if we're gonna look at some long shots that I'm gonna be eyeing up. So last year, the two finalists in the national championship game, Miami and Indiana was 100-1 preseason. Miami was probably somewhere around 1,500 to 1,000-ish. Ole Miss was pretty far down there too, around the same spot. So most of the preseason contenders didn't make the national championship. So it's always worth looking outside of that top tier contenders. I have a hard time doing it this year. Last year, we know Clemson, Penn State, Texas, some teams that were a lot of folks' favorite picks, popular picks to win the national championship, and none of those teams made the playoff. And this year, I don't see that as much in this class. I think Ohio State, Notre Dame, 1 and 2, they're pretty much locks. Oregon, as long as Dante Moore stays healthy. Could Indiana take a step back and lose a couple games and not make the playoff? Unlikely. Texas, same thing. They played tough down the stretch. I think that momentum will carry them. So I think these numbers are good. But if you want to have a little fun, look outside of the top 10, top 15 teams. Who are some teams that could potentially surprise some folks and make a run? How about Oklahoma plus 3,000, plus 4,000? They were a team we were on last year. We had their win total over. We talked them up as a dark horse in the SEC, and they ended up they made the playoff, even with John Mateer getting hurt, which kind of almost derailed their season. But he came back, they finished strong, got into the playoff with a tough SEC schedule. This could be a team to look out for. I think John Mateer is one of those guys. I mean, I don't think he played great last year, obviously, especially after the injury. But if they can build off that momentum and he takes that next step, and Venables keeps building up this team in the trenches like he did last year, this strong defense, Oklahoma could be one to watch out for. I like the quarterback play. USC as well, sitting at plus 3,500, plus 4,000 across the board. Outside of that, honestly, if you want to look at the 100-1s, the Indiana territory from last year, is there anyone in this tier that you would feel comfortable putting money on? Is there anyone that has a coach like Signetti, a team who's in the playoff last year, a team with an excellent starting quarterback? Washington, Damon Williams, that could be interesting. Yeah, outside of that, even Clemson, I think this number is still too high. I think I see FanDuel has them as 200-1. 50 to 1 at some books, up to 10. It's a pretty wide variance there. There's going to be a theme. And if you listen to some of the shows last year, my number one advice to folks who want to bet on sports, want to bet on football, is you got to shop around. You have to have multiple sports books, as many as you can possibly get, and look around these lines. And these future markets are a perfect example. Like if you're betting at one book, let's say you just have BetMGM, and for some odd reason you like Clemson, there you get them at plus 5,000. But if you shop around, you can get the same team make the same bet at 200 to 1 odds. That's a significant payout difference there. And even if you look at the top contenders, we talked about this here a second ago. Like if you're in on the Buckeyes, if you only have FanDuel, you're looking at a plus 550. But if you have other books, DraftKings plus 650, Ballybet, me in Ohio plus 650, Texas down from plus 650 to plus 800. So folks, number one thing that you can do to put yourself in a position to make more money sports betting is just look around every sports book you could possibly have and find the best possible price. Find any outliers, any discrepancies, and try to bet those bad numbers. And that topic's going to come up a lot this year. Every bet I make, I'm going to talk about shopping around, where the lines are, where they are across books, where I got it versus where it is now. So keep that in mind. If you take one thing from this show, please take that one simple lesson. And last but not least, before I end the show, I almost forgot. I wanted to talk some Texas Tech. I skipped right over them. They've been in the news lately. This is another pretty crazy example of what we just talked about. Line shopping, being disciplined and not just firing on, I got a hunch on Texas Tech, so I'm just going to fire away whatever book I use. No, because you can get them at 20 to 1 plus 2,000 a couple books, or there's books that have them at plus 800, plus 1,300. It's a pretty significant discrepancy. And we know the issue with Texas Tech. They've dropped significantly due to the Brennan Sorsby news. He got in a little bit of trouble. He's in gambling rehab. And it's one thing as a college athlete to be making some bets. It's another thing to be betting on a team that you are actively on the roster with. And he apparently did this with Indiana a few years back before he transferred to Cincinnati. That's a no-no. That's an automatic ban in college football. So the jury's still out. It's not official yet what's going to happen. It's highly likely he's not going to be around. But this is still Texas Tech. This team has the money. They keep reloading via the portal. We know they lost a few guys in the draft. David Bailey, number 2 overall pick, being one of those. But they have a capable backup. We saw Will Hammond last year when Baron Morton went down. So given the infrastructure of this team, the way they rebuild with the portal, it's obviously a stay away. Like, it's not a team that I would want to put money on at this point, at least for a national championship. But as we'll talk about in the next couple of weeks, there could be some interesting bets that you could eye up on Texas Tech, because this team has a schedule that most likely is going to lead, unless Will Hammond comes in and he's just absolutely terrible, or he gets hurt and they're down to their third string quarterback. This should be a team that should roll through the Big 12 and make it back to the playoff. Now, does Will Hammond a guy that can get them to a championship game, that can make a run? And we saw last year with Baron Morton. I mean, I don't think he's as good as Baron Morton. This is definitely a downgrade from him, definitely a downgrade from Sorsby. So not a team I would want to put money on to win a championship, even a plus 2,000. But there could be some interesting season-long bets to make on Texas Tech. I'll end it with that. And before I forget and let you go, if you like the podcast, feel free to follow Hit that follow button on whatever platform you listen to. We're going to be doing some video now, video pod on YouTube. So stay tuned for that. And feel free to rate and review the whole thing. Give us some support. Connect with us online on X and NT Sports 22. Tell us what teams you're betting. What team do you like to win the national championship? Where do you agree with me? Where do you disagree with me? What am I missing? Love to have those discussions. And then next week, we're going to dive into some win totals, season-long win totals. That's my sweet spot for off-season futures. Had a good year last year in college and NFL. Going to start diving in. Probably do a little bit of both to start off. A couple bets Ryan up in the NFL, a couple key ones in college football. And then after that, we're going to start getting into actual college football conference breakdowns. We break down every single conference. We break down in the NFL, same thing. We typically do we'll do conference previews in the NFL. Look at contenders. And throughout the whole summer, we'll talk about some of the futures bets we're making. I'll post everything on X. So anything that I don't talk about right away in the podcast will be posted online on X. It'd be in the Action Network app at NT Sports 22. It'd be in my bed stamp, NT Sports 22. So check all those out as well. Follow along. Provide the feedback. And that's it, folks. We'll see you next week. Cheers.
Risk it all for the crown. Raise the stakes, take a drink, don't back down. Living in the green, we're doing fine. Big bets with the boys, we're legends tonight. Whoa, we're legends tonight. Hometown legends, tales are told. Bold decisions, hearts of gold.